Hello and welcome to the Rainy Night Listens podcast. I'm Haley.
And I'm Wyatt, and this is the podcast that you save for a rainy night instead of a rainy day.
Alrighty, so today we're going to be covering the Johnny Gosch case. Just a warning, this case is super well known and it's super sad.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it contains subjects that can be very upsetting, which is completely valid. So just wanted to give a little bit of a warning right now that a lot of what this case leads to can be a topic that is very upsetting to some people. So
Gotcha.
there's that. So this case was actually such a big one that it played a role in changing how missing persons cases are handled by police.
Oh.
Especially children's missing cases. In 1984, the Johnny Gosch bill was created and passed in Iowa, which requires police in Iowa to investigate missing children's cases immediately rather than waiting 72 hours to start looking into it.
Has that since been implemented in every other state?
So the 72-hour rule is no longer a thing. I guess that it used to be, but that's no longer a thing. If someone's missing, report them as missing, and if the police try to say that that's not a thing, push harder.
Yeah.
Because there have been tons of cases where people were told that, and actually
had they responded in those first 72 hours, it
could have changed it a lot. But whenever you wait that long, the people who have kidnapped people or anything like that have had 3 full days to just disappear.
Yeah. And a lot can be accomplished in 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm glad they've done away with that. It's kind of crap if you think about it.
Dude, it's so sad, right?
Yeah.
This case actually was one of the cases that helped lead into the creation of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And he was also amongst the first children that were ever put on milk cartons, the missing children, to help get the word out.
Gotcha.
And so this one's a pretty big one.
As sad as it is, it ended up doing a lot for missing children's cases going onwards, basically.
Yeah, this one in conjunction with, because there were there were other cases that happened in the same few years span as this one that were pretty similar to one another, that kind of led to parents being holy crap, what is happening? Are our children even safe? And so it kind of led into all of this other stuff being put in place to help kids who are in these situations.
Gotcha. Sad that it has to come to that in order for something to be done about it.
It's good now that those things are in place, but it's really sad that it took stuff like this happening for that to become a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. That's really depressing.
Yeah. So, with that being said, because this is going to be such a heavy one and we don't want to take away from it later, we are going to start with Hagen's historical word of the day.
That's fair. I'm so excited.
Hagen.
Hagen. Hagen. Hagen.
Every.
You heard it here
All
first.
Right. You've heard it here.
Every.
Not to be misconstrued with Avery.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
You know. If you know, you know. If you don't, then learn.
Then just remember, every.
Yep. Exactly.
Alrighty. John David Gosch was born on November 12th, 1969, to John and Noreen Gosch. He was the youngest of 3 children, and he grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, where he enjoyed playing football and doing karate. He was reported as being a well-liked by his classmates and was known to stand up to bullies who picked on the smaller kids. When he was 12, he was working as a paper boy and would deliver papers early in the mornings. He was reported as always being reliable and had even won an airplane ride over Des Moines during a sales contest.
Dang.
He would often use his money to buy model rockets, and he would also buy his mom a single rose when he would go shopping and give it to her whenever he got home.
That's adorable.
Yeah, so, like, he sounds like he was just, like, the sweetest kid. So in early August of 1982, the Gosches began receiving phone calls that would come in around 1 in the morning. John Gosch, so his father, would often answer these calls and tell whoever was on the other end of the line that they had the wrong number, and then he would hang up. These happened fairly often, with some reports saying that they were happening every couple of days, while other ones were saying that they happened weekly, every Sunday morning. So, like, I couldn't get, like, a specific, like, timeline that they would happen, and so it kind of, like, ranged. But we do know that they were receiving these calls at around the same time, super early in the mornings, and it would be a quote-unquote wrong number that then John would tell them it was wrong and then would end the call.
Okay.
On September 3rd, 1982, Johnny went with his parents to his older brother's JV football game at the high school. At some point during the game, John gave Johnny some money so that he could go to the concession stand. After a little while, the Gosches realized that Johnny hadn't come back, and they looked over towards the concessions and they couldn't see him. So John got up and went down to look for his son, and he ended up finding him underneath the bleachers speaking to a police officer alone.
What the heck?
Super weird.
It's like right into it. This is unsettling.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just so weird. Like, why would a cop go under the bleachers?
Yeah, pull a kid away from his parents. If a police officer usually needs to talk to a child, they talk to their parents first or have them there when they talk to them.
Yeah, like, it's weird to go under the bleachers.
Yeah, out of view.
Alone with a kid to talk to him.
Yeah.
So John called out to his son, and he came back up to the bleachers and sat with his family for the rest of the game. Noreen questioned Johnny on why he was alone under the bleachers with a police officer, and he told her that the cop had called him over there and was confused by why she was questioning it because, quote, you have to do what the cops say. And so after the game, as everyone was leaving, Johnny pointed out the officer to Noreen and stated that he wanted to be a police officer someday. So,
okay.
Super weird, but I don't know. Like, it's weird that
it's weird that it happened. Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know if it was too sinister, if he was like, I want to be a cop someday, like, after the conversation, but who knows? This was just one of those weird things that had happened leading up to his disappearance.
Gotcha.
And so it was kind of noted.
Yeah, it was something worth note, because it could be
Yeah.
nothing, but it could be something as well at the same time.
Yeah. So, the next evening, Johnny asked his parents if he could do the paper route the following morning by himself. Noreen did not like this idea and said that she wanted his father to go with him, especially because it's super dark that early in the morning. She told him to make sure to wake up his father in the morning so that he could go with him. She said that Johnny walked upstairs and then turned around and came back down to hug his mom and tell her goodnight and how much he loved her, and then he turned around again and went back up the stairs to his room.
Huh.
Which some people think is kind of interesting that, like, she had said that it was, like, that he was, like, a loving kid, but it was weird for him to have gone all the way upstairs, turn around, come back
down, yeah.
And then go back. And so, yeah.
And sorry, I missed the year. What year was this?
This is 1982.
Okay. I was like looking, I was like, oh, and he's wearing an Adidas shirt in this. Like, I thought it was a little bit longer ago.
Right?
It's kind of scary how recent it was.
He was born the same year that Dad was born.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, I feel like it's weird with these cases because I feel like it always seems like it's so much farther away than it actually is.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. You hope that it's not something that you can relate to. In the back of your mind, unintentionally, you hope it's not something that could reflect a part of your life or something,
Yeah. But it is crazy. Like, whenever I saw this picture, I was like, what the heck? He's wearing an Adidas shirt? Like, it is weird, like, that it's that recent that it's, like, a recognizable brand.
Yeah.
And so...
Like, even the logo. Still
Yeah.
what I remember it being. It's crazy.
So, at around 1 in the morning, the phone rang again, and John answered the phone. Noreen reported hearing her husband say, yeah, okay, all right, before hanging up. So whenever he got back to bed, she asked him who it was, and he said it was the wrong number. And Noreen thought that this was really odd, because why would you have a conversation like that with someone if it was the wrong number? But she shook it off and went back to sleep.
The husband talked like that?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
So kind of odd.
Yeah.
Again, like, a lot of the stuff that happened leading up to this, like, if they were just, like, one-off things, it's like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. But, like, where all of these things are, like, consistently happening, or have all, like, happened together, like, it makes it really weird. Like, they said that those phone calls stopped after he disappeared. Like, the late-night phone calls, like, they weren't being called anymore after that.
It's my thought, right, on this is that they're testing to see, like, call one morning, nobody answers, because it seems like he answers the phone every single time.
Yeah.
So it's like calling to maybe see if the parents are awake or something, because if it was the same people who will end up kidnapping this poor boy, then I feel like, I don't know, like, they're just testing the waters or something, like, in some weird way, like, gathering information, like, okay, he answers every single time. So they, like, wait for a morning for him to not answer or something, like, I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
The thing I hate about these things is how much effort goes into them, like, they try really hard to do such terrible things.
Yeah, it's awful. But yeah, like, the fact that he actually, instead of just being like, oh, it's a wrong number, but was like, yeah, okay, all right. Like, it's just...
Yeah, talking to them.
Very bizarre.
It is.
So, the next morning, on September 5th of 1982, Johnny left the home a little before 6 a.m. to head out for his paper route. He took his dachshund Gretchen with him and their little red wagon so that he could carry the papers, but he did not have his father with him.
He didn't wake him up that morning?
A neighbor reported hearing who they thought was Johnny cutting through their yard that morning like he normally did to get to the paper drop, which was located on the corner of Ashworth Road and 42nd Street. At about 6 a.m., other kids began getting ready for their paper routes and reported seeing Johnny at the newspaper drop site. A little after this time, they reported a two-tone blue car pulled up next to Johnny and started asking him how to get to 86th Street, which was super far away from where they were at this time. So, like, they're on 42nd, and this dude was asking him how to get to 86th.
Yeah, that's quite a friggin' ways away.
Yeah. So the man in the car drove away after Johnny gave him directions, so Johnny went to talk to one of his friends that was also at the paper drop. A few minutes later, the same man returned and asked a group of children how to get to 86th Street again. While the boys were talking to this man, another man who lived in one of the homes nearby, named John Rossi, saw what was going on and thought something was kind of off about it.
Yeah, that a car pulls up to a group of kids twice asking
at
for
6 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Like, it's almost like he was hoping that one of them would be like, I'll show you,
Yeah.
Like, that's unnerving.
Yeah. So he began walking over there and then was approached by Johnny, who asked him to help them give directions to the man in the vehicle. John Rossi went over to speak to the man and said that he seemed visibly agitated whenever he started talking to him. So this
Yeah.
guy's clearly being sketchy.
Yeah.
Like he suddenly gets ticked off that the grown adult is talking to him rather than
A
all
bunch of kids.
the young boys that are standing there. Like it's so weird.
I hate that.
So while John Rossi was talking to this man, Johnny finished loading his papers into his wagon and began walking north on 42nd Street. So from here, he starts walking north.
Okay.
When John Rossi finished giving the man directions, the man proceeded to flick his dome light on and off 3 times in a row before peeling out and flying down, heading east on Ashworth before turning left to head north on 39th Street.
So it's just a square. He could have easily just looped all the way around.
So like he flew down here and then turned left onto 39th Street.
For anyone who can't see the map, it's like the way the roads work, it just goes in a perfect square right back around to where he was at before, or to where in the direction Johnny was heading north towards. It just makes like a 490-degree turns right back to where he was at.
And so one of the other paper boys at this time reported seeing a man come out of the shadows from in between 2 homes, and he started like walking on the sidewalk behind Johnny, like heading in the same direction as him.
So the whole thing of like him flashing his dome light, is that like a light on top of the car?
Yeah, it's like the one that's like inside of your car, like
okay, the one right above like the driver.
times.
Okay. So like probably to signal the dude, and the reason why he was making a scene and taking so long is he was waiting for Johnny to split from the group, I feel like, or something, you know.
Yeah. I could see that.
I hate that if that
Me
is
too.
what it is.
It's gross.
I hate it a lot.
Yeah. According to another neighbor, they saw a silver car pull up next to where Johnny was putting his red wagon at the corner of Marcourt Lane and 42nd Street. So Johnny would
that
put
black dot right there.
Yeah, he would put his wagon here, and then he would go and deliver all of the papers to everyone inside of Fancrest Circle, and then he'd come back and grab his wagon and like continue on. And so a neighbor said that they saw a silver car pull up, and then the car was blocking their view of Johnny at that point. The neighbor then reportedly looked away, and then a couple seconds later heard what sounded like a car door slam shut. And when they looked back, they watched the car turn left onto 42nd Street and then race away.
So continuing north.
Yeah. Because to me that sounds like they were on this road.
Yeah, they drove down
and they came
Marcourt.
in, he was here, and then if they turned left onto 42nd, that means that they were heading north. Which, I want to point this out as like an interesting note. So, do you remember whenever we worked at the gas station?
Yeah.
Were you there whenever they had us do the truckers against trafficking training because we had like the big rest area behind the gas station where like the truckers would be?
I don't remember. I don't think I was there for
That's
the
like-
training that you're talking about.
I was gonna say, I can't remember.
I knew it was a truck stop.
But they had us do this training because they had told us that the gas station we were at was like a prime spot for trafficking victims to be like traded.
I hate that.
And, yeah, it was awful. And the reason why is because right there you can jump on the interstate and head north. You can jump on the interstate and head south. You can hit the highway and head out
It's a perfectly
towards
placed
Arco.
gas station for anything.
Like you
is
could
what
go
mean.
any direction. And so like that's why they had us doing that training, was because of the placement of the gas station, and that right there someone within like 30 seconds could jump and be going any direction and
for
just
an
be
extended
gone.
period of time. That's crazy.
So the crazy thing is that look at where he's at, right? So this is where his wagon was. If they were heading this way,
it's just straight north and then take a left and they're on a highway.
turn once, turn twice, turn a third time, you're on the eastbound on-ramp for the interstate.
Yeah, and if you went a little bit further and turned left, you could go on the
You're on the westbound,
westbound.
ramp. And then once you're on westbound interstate,
you could either go southbound or northbound,
like,
two different directions.
all of this right here. And so, like,
it's the exact same concept.
that's
It's just
exactly
way too
what
many
it
escape
reminded
routes.
me of.
I hate that
How
a lot.
gross is that?
Yeah, once again, hits way too close to home. Like, I hate.
Well,
that's
and like,
nasty.
I'll talk about it whenever we get to it later, but it's insane. Like, it was so thought out and planned. Like, there's no way that this was an accident. Because literally, turn 3 times and you're on an interstate heading in any direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was just an interesting side note that we had noticed whenever we were looking at the map, is that it kind of lined up exactly with what that training was that they had us do. And so it's awful.
The best thing you can do is just hope that you don't end up in their vehicle, because if you do, it's a little, it's gross.
So, remember, all of that happened like a little bit after 6 a.m.
Uh-huh.
At around 7:45, Noreen and John Gosch woke up to the sound of their phone ringing. They answered it, and it was people who were complaining because they hadn't yet received their papers for that day. They checked their son's room and saw he wasn't there, so John went out and found the red wagon that was still full of papers and their dog, and he went and completed the paper route. Which, this kind of is interesting because some people think that, or I don't know if people still think that, but like at the time, like people
French,
thought
but
that...
why the hell did he finish the paper route first? Right? Like,
it's weird. Like, it's super weird. Which, like, people are mad at them for that, is that...
I get that people still need their papers, but if you just tell them, hey, my son's missing, then I'm sure they don't care if they got the paper that morning.
Yeah. But, like, people thought that he, like, ran away, and it's like, why would he have left his dog? Like, if you're running away, why would you even, like...
take the dog.
Yeah, like, it's, like, a weird detail, but, like, why would he have left his dog if he wanted to take it with him on this paper route? Why would he have left it if he decided he was going to run away? Like, why are you going to pretend like you're going to go to work if you're not actually going to?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it make more sense if you're going to run away that you would just leave and simply not go even start your paper route?
Yeah, there's no point. You just leave early in the morning when everybody's asleep.
Yeah. So, John finished Johnny's paper route, and then after this, he went and, like, fully searched the neighborhood looking for Johnny. And when he couldn't find him, he returned to the house where Noreen contacted the police. After almost an hour later, the police arrived and they filed a report saying that their son was missing.
Took him an hour to get there.
Yeah, I think it was like 45 minutes is what...
Still, that's quite a while for a supposed missing persons case.
Mm-hmm. And so the police told them that Johnny must have just run away, and then asked him if he had run away before, or run away like this before. And so they were just immediately assuming that he had run away.
Ran away from home, yeah.
They also told them that they couldn't classify Johnny as a missing person until he had been gone for 72 hours. So again, like, this kind of feeds back into the beginning where, like, they created, like, that bill so that for missing children.
It's a different story, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just insane. Like, if it would have been taken more seriously from the beginning, they might have been able to make some headway on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's sad.
It is really sad.
And yeah, so again, just as a side note, this is no longer the case. You don't have to wait 72 hours to report someone missing, and if you get told that, don't, like, just keep pushing harder, because those first hours are so critical whenever it comes to missing.
They're the most important part of a
people.
missing persons case, because like Haley said earlier, it's like the beginning is like the difference between them being on a highway for an hour. Like, how much distance can you cover in an hour on a highway?
Yeah.
It's too much to even want to consider in a case like this. Like, it's just sad.
Yeah. So the police said that there were no signs of foul play, as the wagon was still sitting there, full of papers, and so they were under the impression that he had just run away and was going to return soon. So I don't know if they thought that, like, the wagon should have been, like, tipped over as though there was, like, a struggle or something.
Okay.
But yeah, so they were convinced, from what I could find, that it was just, he had run away and was going to come back.
And the dog was perfectly fine? Okay.
Yeah, it was just
chilling out.
I mean, so some people say that, like, the dog just showed up back at home. Other people say it was, like, actually tied to the wagon. But either way, the dog was there and was fine. Okay. And so...
I just wonder, like, I mean, it's a dachshund. It's not like it could have done a whole lot compared to other... Like, I get that, but I just mean, like, I just wonder if, like, if it was tied to the wagon, it makes sense. Or if it just wandered off, it makes sense. But...
Yeah. But the police still took a look around the neighborhood and couldn't find him. And so later, volunteers got together and began searching for Johnny, but they were stopped and told to go home by the chief of police, Oliver Cooney, who said, quote, "The kid is probably just a damn runaway."
Oh, you're right. That means you should stop trying. A runaway is still something the police should get involved with. Fun fact, it's still a child.
It's almost like it's still a child that's in danger.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Runaways should be taken more seriously.
He was 12. It's not like it was like some 17-year-old that, even if it was, like,
it's still not
take
okay.
it more seriously, but, like, this kid was 12 years old.
I hate that.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, you're going to hear me say it 80 more times, I'm sure, this episode, but
yeah,
just know I hate every bit of this.
Well, that Oliver Cooney guy ended up having a lot of stuff come forward about how, like, some stuff that he was mixed up in, and I'm pretty sure he was, like, removed from being chief of police because he was so corrupt.
He should have been sued, or he should have been thrown in jail. That quote alone, he's probably just a dang runaway, is more than enough to throw a man in jail for a missing kids case, I feel like. Like, that's not okay at all.
No, it's awful, and, like, there are people who think that, again, this is just speculation, but there are people who think that some of the officers might have been in on it. Like, that it was, like, this huge web of people who were all in on it, because if you think back to, like, the cop who was talking to her kid under the bleachers, and, like, and then the cops are the ones who are actively like, nope, it's just a runaway, and then the chief of police himself is like, no, everyone break up, stop looking, he just ran away. Like,
yeah,
it's, at the very least, it's a terrible call to make on a kid who has just disappeared.
Yeah, 100%.
And so John and Noreen distributed over 10,000 flyers that showed Johnny's picture and his information because they weren't getting help from the police. And so they ended up doing a lot of, like, the legwork themselves. Mm-hmm. I guess that, like, in, like, the documentary, like, Noreen talked about how she was the one who was going around gathering, like, witness reports, testimonies and stuff. And so, like, they had to do a lot of the legwork and trying to get the word out and everything.
Gotcha. Also very depressing.
Yeah. So, around 6 months later, a woman in Tulsa, Oklahoma came forward claiming that she had seen Johnny. She said she was walking down the street when a young boy came running up to her out of breath yelling, "Please, lady, help me. My name is John David Gosch."
What?
Yep. And then the next thing she knew, 2 men came up, grabbed the young boy, and then drug him away. But she said that she was unaware of the disappearance at the time, and that this was just like a super weird thing that she didn't really know what to do. But then a couple of months later, she saw Johnny Gosch's photo on the news and went, "Holy crap, that's the kid that ran up and was asking me for help."
That's really depressing.
How sad is that?
Yeah. Like, it's, as a bystander in her position, it's hard to decide whether to get involved or not, because if there's two full-grown men dragging this kid away, chances are if you get involved, you're just going to get beat, and it won't change the outcome. But it still doesn't mean that she shouldn't have tried. She should have,
Yeah.
like, told the police or something at the very least, because of whatchamacallit, a false call. What was it called when it's just you call something in but it's not real?
Oh,
I can't think of the term for it right now. But still, it's better to call in and be wrong than to not call in at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, in her position, it is a hard thing to get involved or not, because chances are you will be attacked and maybe even killed if you're trying to, get the child from these two men. But
Yeah.
it's very sad that she didn't do anything at all until afterwards.
Yeah.
So you can be mad at her, but you can also understand where she came from. But she should have at least gone to the police about it, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a call or something, but I feel like the terrible part is at the same time, like, you can also see why she didn't, like, why
Yeah.
she just was like, oh, that was really weird.
Like, I'm not
Like,
personally mad at her for how she reacted.
Yeah, like, I feel like she definitely should have called the police.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like it could always be a little kid playing a prank. That's the hard part. It's like the whole ignorance is bliss thing. It's like you hope you're not the person that a missing child runs up to and asks for help. And when
Yeah.
it does happen, your immediate response usually isn't going to be, snap into action and try to help this kid. It's more like,
Yeah.
oh, this kid's playing a really messed up prank on me.
It's one of those situations where it's really easy to say what any of us would have done in that situation.
Exactly. Like,
But until you're actually in the situation,
you have no clue how you'd actually respond.
Yeah.
Your fight or flight response is what gets to choose that, not you.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I personally, like, am not angry at her from the story standpoint. It's sad how she reacted, but at the same time, it's not something that you're going to immediately be prepared for when it happens.
Yeah. So after she saw his photo on the television, she reached out to a private investigator that was working on the case. And then later, the firm that the private investigator worked for was quoted as saying, "We and the FBI checked it out and were both convinced it positively was Johnny."
How would they know for sure if it was John? Like, did they find evidence?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they went and, like, talked to people. I don't know if there were, like, street cameras at the time. Like, I don't know what their investigation into it actually, like, entailed. But that's just what the firm was quoted as saying in regard to her report that she had made.
Gotcha.
So in February of 1984, Noreen received a phone call a little after midnight, and when she picked it up, she claims she heard someone say, "Mom?" She claims that this person sounded like Johnny, but that his words were slurred as she spoke to him. She asked him where he was, and then the call ended. She ended up receiving 2 more calls that same night from the same person, but by the time she was able to get a hold of the police, the phone calls had stopped and they weren't able to trace where they were coming from.
Gotcha.
And so the sad part is that, like, people think that it could have been people playing pranks on her, because that did happen
People
a lot.
can be
Like,
really heartless.
Yeah, people would get a hold of her claiming to be him and just be making the whole thing up. Like, people are really, like, some people are gross.
Yeah, they're sick.
And so people don't know if this truly was him or
just some piece of crap making a joke.
Yeah. So, in 1991, so it's been quite a few years now, a private investigator from Nebraska called Noreen. He told her he was working with a lawyer who was representing a client that had been arrested for child molestation. He informed her that he had tapes of the interviews from this man, and he offered to play the tapes for her to listen to. She said yes, and the PI, named Roy Stevens, came over a few days later to play the tapes for her.
Oh, no.
So the client that was being interviewed was a man named Paul Bonacci. He claimed that he suffered at the hands of his father when he was growing up, and when he was 15, he met someone named Mike who introduced him to a man named Emilio. Emilio was a producer of child pornography and invited Paul and Mike to go with him on a trip to Iowa in September of 1982.
Oh.
Yeah. Paul continued on to say that they went to a hotel in West Des Moines, and a man showed up that had a bag full of photographs. And the man pulled one out and showed it to Paul and said that they were going to take this one. And Paul said that the boy in the photo was Johnny Gosch. Paul claimed that once he realized that he was going to be helping with a kidnapping, that he tried to back out, but his life was threatened, so he agreed to move forward and help with the plan. He claimed that in the hotel, the other men laid out the plan that involved a few different vehicles, and they all rehearsed what their parts were going to be so that no mistakes were made whenever they carried out their plan. He stated that first there would be a man in a vehicle who would ask Johnny a question and then leave, and then Paul would get out of a different vehicle to ask Johnny a question and get him closer to the vehicles so that they could pull him in. And then once they got him, they would leave town, switch him to a different vehicle, and then the original vehicle would be driven east to Chicago.
In a different direction.
And then the vehicle that they put Johnny in was going to be driven west and then cut north up to Sioux City. So Paul claimed that the first night, Emilio and the other men locked him, Mike, and Johnny in a room with no windows and left for a while before coming back and forcing them to do things on film so that they could sell it and make money. Paul stated that after that, they drove him back to Omaha and left Johnny in that home in Sioux City. And then he said that he was later taken out to Colorado, like quite a time later, and that was where he saw Johnny again. He claimed that Johnny was being forced to stay with someone that he only knew as the Colonel. And they were staying in a ranch-style home that had a raised floor with a secret entrance where they would keep Johnny and the other kids that they had there, and they'd all keep them in this room under the raised floor so that people wouldn't know that there were kids there.
I hate every second of this.
Yeah. Later, in 1993, America's Most Wanted had Paul on the show, and he led the crew to the home in Colorado that he claimed Johnny was being held at. And then the Omaha World Herald published a story a little bit after this that claimed that the sheriff's investigators had looked into the home but couldn't find anything to confirm any of the claims. But according to CNN, who requested the investigation records related to the sheriff's investigation of the Colorado home, they were told that they had nothing in their system that had anything to do with this investigation.
Oh, okay. So it's that kind of investigation.
So, was it still under wraps because it's an active investigation? Did they actually not go look at the house at all?
You hope they're just keeping what they found under wraps, so then, whoever they're following doesn't know that they are following them. You hope it's that one at least.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So, people are torn on whether or not they think Paul is telling the truth. At one point, a grand jury claimed that it was all a hoax, but since then, other people have examined all of the evidence and his story, and they believe that he's telling the truth about everything. And so people are super torn on if they think he's just making stuff up or if he actually was part of the kidnapping of Johnny and had like seen him.
Yeah.
So after all of this, Noreen decided to visit Paul in prison and was also convinced that he was telling the truth. He was able to tell her about a birthmark that Johnny had on his chest, a scar that he had on his tongue, and he was able to tell her how he'd gotten it. He was also able to tell her about a burn scar that he had on his ankle, and was also able to tell her how he got it.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, he was able to like tell her that after they would do the films and everything, that he would do yoga, which he had told him that he used to go to like yoga classes that his mom taught, and so that's where he learned yoga to help him calm down, which had not been super well known. And so like he knew details and stories about Johnny that hadn't necessarily been released to
the public.
Yeah. So after all of that, Noreen was absolutely convinced that he was being 100% honest in what he was telling everyone. But even with all of this evidence, the police wouldn't interview Paul about it because they believed that he was either lying or he was insane.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there you go. So in 1997, Noreen and John had been divorced, and Noreen had her own apartment. She stated that she woke up in the middle of the night because someone was knocking on her door. She looked through the peephole, and there were two men standing there, with one of them looking like Johnny.
How many years later?
So this was in 1997, so it would have been, let me see. So it was 6 years after she had talked to Paul.
Oh.
Initially. And so so Johnny disappeared in 82, and this was in 1997, so 15 years later.
Oh, wow. So he's 27?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she said that she asked, "Who is it?" And the response she got was, "It's me, Mom, it's Johnny." So she said that she opened the front door, hugged him, and then invited both of them in. And he ended up showing her the birthmark on his chest to prove that it was him. And she said that as they were talking, she said that she felt as though the other man was kind of controlling him in some way. Because whenever she would ask certain questions, such as like where he was, he would look at the other man, and then the man would tell him not to answer that specific question. So she said that there were a few questions he asked where he would like look at the other guy, and then the other guy would be like, "No, like we're not gonna talk about that." Noreen didn't call the police, but she offered to call her PI. But she said that Johnny seemed terrified by this and asked her not to, and told her that if she did, that he was going to leave. And he recounted the story of what happened and claimed that Paul Bonacci was involved and that he was in the basement with him in the first home. He also said that after they had Paul leave, that he stayed there for a few days before a man that was called the Colonel came and bought him from his kidnappers. And then after that, he was taken to Colorado and then moved around the country for different things.
Yeah.
She also stated that Johnny told her that he was on the run from the people who took him and that he was working on trying to support himself and that he was worried about even visiting her because his captors had told him that they would kill his family if he ever contacted them. Noreen said that he left and she didn't try to stop him because he was no longer the little boy that she remembered, and he was a grown-up who was making his own choices, so she wasn't going to stand in his way. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So people are super torn on whether they believe her story or not.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that they believe her because it makes sense that if he escaped, that he would be fearful and would be living in the shadows and
Yeah.
trying to stay out of the spotlight. But others say that it was a figment of the imagination of a grieving mother trying to come to terms with what had happened to her son.
15 years later, though?
See, that's kind of what got me, is like, I feel like, why would it happen so much later?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it, like, if it was her mind trying to come to terms with everything, why would it wait for so long?
Yeah.
Like, that, I don't know. I don't know much about, like, how grieving processes work or anything, but it is weird that it would have taken that long to hit that point.
Exactly. I agree, because I don't know. I agree. I feel like the grieving process is different per person and what experiences they go through in life, but I don't see a reason for her to have made it up, let alone told people about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is 15 years later. I mean, if people try to look at it in a bad sense, oh, she said it for, like, publicity, it's like, it happened 15 years ago. I feel like people aren't really going to, it's not going to become a whole thing that she'd profit off of and benefit
Yeah.
from that much later. But I'm not going to say it did happen, but I'm just saying it. I don't see a reasoning for her to have made it up
Yeah.
off the top of her head, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, as you can see, this disappearance has a lot of moving pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a lot of claims that are really hard to substantiate, but they also all seem to fit together perfectly, too.
Yeah. Stuff like this is just, it's like the things you see in the movies, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you hope that, like, the police weren't part of the whole operation.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's just not okay
Yeah.
at all.
It's super sad that stuff like this even happens. Like, it's just awful.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I forgot what that one movie was. I watched it when it was in theaters not too long ago, and it was about that one guy who went through and tried to find these two kids that were, you know, kidnapped into trafficking, and it was like, it's just disgusting getting to face that dark part of humanity and see stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, it's a movie you don't want to watch, but watching it at least once, I feel like it's worth watching at least once. I can't remember the name of it though.
It sounds like it would be interesting. Probably super sad.
Yeah, very depressing.
But yeah, that's all that I've got. There's a lot more that goes into this too. Like, there's a lot of other people who were tangential to it that eventually ended up getting convicted of things and stuff like that. It was just a lot to try to put into one episode.
Yeah.
And because it's almost like a big web of
Yeah.
stuff that suddenly starts coming out. And so I would highly suggest doing your own research as well, because there's a lot more to it that we didn't cover, but that is all super interesting, and I feel like kind of feeds into like him not just being like killed right off the bat,
Yeah.
or being a runaway, like,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's all that I've got.
All right. Well,
So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
we'll see you next time.